Virginity is cool. He's got it. He's got virginity is cool. Come on, come on. Virginity is cool. What up? Virginity is cool. Come on, come on. Virginity is cool. What up? What up? Virginity is cool. He's got it. He's got virginity is cool. Come on, come on. Virginity is cool. What up?
Whose beat is this?
It's what I paid for on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of Big Kris Live, the live stream, and then the podcast. You can find it everywhere, especially on our podcast network, DeanBlundell.com, a alumnus and fellow content creator for DeanBlundell.com with me tonight, James DiFiore, or as my wife knows him, oh yeah, that writer you like. Welcome to the podcast, James. And don't forget, you can subscribe after the fact via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the usual places. And to those tuning into the live stream tonight via Facebook and YouTube, and of course the DeanBlundell.com Twitter account, thanks for watching. James, good to see you again, man. This is your return appearance, return of the DiFiore.
Yeah, thanks, man. How you doing, Kris? You
Yeah.
doing well? How's fatherhood? Did you have more hair the last time I saw you?
Well, it's impossible for me to have less hair, but
Same
no,
here, brother.
I'm excited to see you again. And yeah, fatherhood is awesome. The last time that I heard from James was actually at like 5 a.m. when my baby was 3 days old. Hey, buddy, I'm high on mushrooms, and I want to come. I want to do a podcast with you right now. I've got raps. You sent me raps.
Yeah, I know I did.
Okay.
I wanted attention because I was in the universe of the shroom, right? So,
That's okay.
yeah.
So, James, we'll play that rap by the end of the podcast today. We'll hang on to that. We'll claw that back till a little later on. Off the top, we played this clip. Virginity is cool.
Virginity is cool. Come on, come on. Virginity is cool. What up? What up?
Yes, that will get into the kids' minds. That will convince them of the right path. A rap was definitely the solution.
They got all the crack team at McCain French Fries to write that one, I think.
It does have the sheen of some kind of
McCain Super Fry and the shoestring too.
Yeah, of an 80s TV jingle trying to be hip. But the reason I played that was in reference, I don't know, the Christian angle or whatever to that. I always find anyone who's preaching virginity usually has a super Christian or Catholic vibe to it. And James wrote this awesome article this week, and that's why, again, my wife says, "Oh, that writer you like." Yeah, well, that's an understatement. He's very.
That's like me calling your wife, "Oh, that woman you like."
Yeah. But you can check out his content, blackmallmedia.ca, and of course, DeanBlundell.com as well. But the article was basically, let's cancel the Catholic Church. You say we should invade the Vatican.
Yeah.
And you weren't joking.
Well, no, I mean, even it sounds like a joke even to me because, look, I was raised Catholic. Jesus' fear left a long time after I decided I didn't believe in him. Like,
right.
It really like marinates inside of you, right? Like, so I to this day, like my friends of mine and they're like agnostic at best, and they're not big believers in Jesus and all that kind of stuff. But if I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, you guys, let's go. Like they'll be like this for a second. Like, oh right, I don't believe in him. You know what I mean? Like,
I forgot.
Yeah, so it leaves its claws in you, and I find Anyways, yeah, that's sort of besides the point. But the Catholic Church itself, there's an argument that you could make, like that the dioceses, which are clearly, tributaries of this main organization, the Vatican, they get money from all of these Catholic churches, and Pope Benedict was the author of the internal policy that explicitly rather said in the document, rather than get the authorities involved, we will just move, they will confess and we will move him to another church. And so you're literally like risking the lives of more children. And I in the piece I did this as well, but I go back to what Bill Maher said, I don't know how many years ago now, where he was like, if the Catholic Church was an international chain of daycare centers, would we even be having this conversation? You know?
Yeah, they've gotten away with so much throughout history, and this incident with the 215 children, in the indigenous and the residential school system. I mean, I knew that happened. I knew that was a thing, and I remember when the last residential school was closed in, I think, the 90s, 96 or 97. I remember seeing it in the news and asking my dad, like, because I was still young, I was early teens, and I said, Dad, what was that? And he broke it down to me and said it was a pretty harsh thing that we did. But I don't know whether everybody had parents who explained that to them, and I don't think the government was there over the years to really fess up or explain it to us either.
I mean, they were like, I mean, we knew the information. There were inquiries back when Wilfrid Laurier was prime minister, and he would squash them.
Yeah.
Like, so there were attempts, all throughout 20th century to sort of expose this, and a lot of them were not attempts of very valiant effort. It was just
weak
formality stuff. But we knew after the Truth and Reconciliation Committee convened and they came up with that big list of advisements or whatever that Canada should perform, that this stuff existed. We didn't have, I don't think many of us, if it did exist, didn't read the innards, but a lot of it was just guesswork because there wasn't a lot of record taking for, serial killing babies and kids.
Yeah, nobody wanted to write that down. No one wanted to log that. I don't blame them.
This is now, not now, but like we have to really come to terms with the fact that this is an organization best known for raping kids and killing kids. Really, that's what it's best known for, or at least that's a big pillar of its identity. And I'm just, obviously it's a power. There's 1 billion Catholics or something. I don't know how many Catholics there are, but
it's getting smaller though. You have to admit, like church in general. I've seen more churches, abandoned churches, or churches up for rent, or churches being run out into houses these days. It's not quite what it was, but it's still pretty potent.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers. The numbers were looking good for my militant atheist ass for a long time, where it was like the fastest growing demographic. When you included it in religion, so it was outpacing every other religion as far as growth. But that was like 10 years ago, and I don't know what's going on now. But 4 years of Trump could probably turn a lot of people to Jesus. Maybe I don't know.
Or against him. I mean, he was so divisive after all.
Well, but everyone knew. Everybody knew that Trump doesn't. It's not even that he believes or doesn't believe. He just doesn't give a fuck either way. He's never thought about it. It doesn't matter to him.
Right. Yeah.
And the way that he sort of like championed the evangelicals and the more radical sect.
It was just an ends to a means.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, political ends. That's right.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't necessarily like cancel culture. I'm not a cancel culture person.
I don't think you would call the invasion of the Vatican.
It's a little more. It's full outright war, I guess, is what you were suggesting,
well,
right?
It's an international cabal of people who have killed and enabled and abetted the raping and murder of children. Like that's what it is. That's not even like hyperbolic. That's exactly what it is. We just found a mass grave with 215 kids, largely because of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
So I think it's time. We should just we should do like a thought exercise where we just replace the Catholic Church with any other business, any other sector.
Yeah, anything. I mean, if it was Pfizer or AstraZeneca that killed 215 kids,
an international chain of daycare centers is a perfect analogy.
Yeah, I do like that. Just as a note too, we're running the podcast on a regular live stream now. It's 9 p.m. ish, just after 9 p.m. on Thursday evenings, and so
it's
next
9:22.
I know. Well, I had to step out to the garage and smoke Daddy's medicine, because I don't do it in the house anymore. We're eating up time. But ish. But next Thursday's episode, I can already tell you, is a friend of mine, my best friend's dad. He's an indigenous novelist, and he has a trio of books out there. The first is called I Am Algonquin. His name is Rick Revell. He'll be joining the podcast next Thursday night to discuss, because obviously we're talking about, these dead Indigenous children, but it's two Caucasians sort of tackling the subject. I would love to get his take on this, and obviously talk about his works, which he's on his 4th novel already. So he's published. So, I mean, you can appreciate that too as a writer, James.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And he's from where I live, basically, in this area. Like I live like in a place called Killaloe, which is just like 20 minutes outside the eastern gates of Algonquin.
Yeah. And this is my best friend's dad, and I'm so fortunate to have the hookup with this guy. He goes on tours, well, before pandemic anyways. He used to go on tours. His books are used in the school system now, which is also heartening for where things are headed, in terms of where we're headed as a country too, to know that his books are being, used in the school system.
You're so lucky, dude, that your kid is obviously way too young to be in school right now. Oh my God, it's been a nightmare.
I couldn't even imagine having to, go to kindergarten or put her on the bus to her first day at school wearing a mask. I couldn't even imagine what that would be
online,
like.
And then your only choice after that is like, I will be the teacher at home, and it will go great. And then you want to kill everybody and everything, like.
Yeah. There's no real win for parents or students or teachers during these times, right?
No, there isn't. There absolutely isn't.
Yeah. Another reason to get vaccinated. Let's put a fucking end to this.
Yeah.
So now that I've given the plug that I am going to be talking to an Indigenous person about this topic, let's talk about it, you and I, James.
Oh, is that your disclaimer so that the whiteys can start talking again?
Yeah, we had to check the box there, Van, and I hate.
Smooth. That was smooth, man.
Thanks. So, I saw that there was the statue at Ryerson University that had paint dumped all over it. And in previous times, of course, Kingston, Ontario, I've got quite a history in that city. I've lived there several times, and I call it my second home. And so, the statue of Sir John A. Macdonald in City Park in Kingston has been vandalized and had paint poured all over it many a times as well. Where are you on the statue debate? Because we used to be a country where it'd be like, oh, we'll never be a mask country. Like they only wear masks overseas in different countries, but now we're a mask country. And they don't topple statues. In our country, they topple statues in other countries, like Saddam Hussein or Muammar Gaddafi's statue gets knocked down. But now we're knocking down, or we're vandalizing statues as well. Are we just late to the party on these trends, I guess, or what's your take?
Well, no one else really does this. Like the States is the only other country I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there was some sort of anecdotal incidents in Europe here and there, but for the most part, at the very least, it's a Western nation thing, and it is not done anywhere else, right? And I think one of the things that I think each side has a really bad way of negotiating with the other side. I don't know why right wingers and left wingers can't get together and agree on something like, how about we stop naming institutions after slavers? And Laurier was kind of a piece of shit. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like, and then we'll keep the statues for historical reasons, and we'll put up placards that will have bullet points of all the horrible shit that this person did. Right? Like, it's just that when you put a name on the side of a building or a wing of a museum and that kind of stuff, there's a prestige involved with it, and I don't think that is helpful. So I think that's the overlap. I think that it's easy to come to grips if you're living in the South that General Lee was a traitor to the country, right? You could probably make that argument. And
most people would.
Right. And so, when it comes to, it's just one of those, it's one of those great issues, really. Like it allows people to talk for a lot longer than you probably would want to on any given issue. But
I see.
But the statues, but the typical thing that they do where they go up and they're really angry because the statue depicts a person that's been dead for 150 years. They have a point, but I think that they're exercising it at the wrong station. They should want these names off prestigious halls and buildings. And who cares if there's a statue of some idiot?
Right. My friend Riley, shout out to my buddy Riley in Kingston too. He pointed out that the vigil for the 215 dead Indigenous children was 200 feet away from the Sir John A. Macdonald statue in Kingston.
Like symbolic. It's a really hard thing to argue. What do you mean? Like even like the founding fathers in the States, those are great examples because a lot of them were, slave owners, and Andrew Jackson was a complete psychopath, right? Like there's a whole bunch of different things that you could point fingers at.
Well, Sir John A. too. You know, there's stories about him, and I don't know if this is just Kingston lore, but I believe maybe it was him or maybe it was a different prime minister. But I remember hearing that he used to like have like he used to consult like a crystal ball, and he was a complete drunk. And he used to, you know what I mean? I mean, I could be wrong on the, like he had a mystic with a crystal ball that he used to talk to or something. I mean,
we have priests today. What's the difference? You know?
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, really. Back to the original point.
Right. Yeah, so you got crystal, Thor, Hermes. I don't know. It's all the same thing. But yeah, it's a crystal ball. I never heard that one.
Yeah, maybe it was a different prime minister.
He was the one that said that you know, he didn't want to let the Chinese dogs in because he wanted to keep Canada Aryan. So it's
Whoa, yeah. There's some pretty wicked, crazy. Oh, sorry, it was Mackenzie King.
Oh, was it?
And I
Crystal
believe
ball. This is crystal ball guy.
Yeah, one of our prime ministers used a crystal ball. William Lyon Mackenzie King used a crystal ball. Yeah, and it's on display apparently at Laurier House.
Why are we doing that? That's like
we're celebrating his insanity.
Well, the thing that came to mind when you informed me that this even existed, you remember that photo of Trump and the Saudis with their hand on that glowing sphere?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
so
that was weird,
We're
too.
in good company, Chris.
Oh, man. Jesus. That guy's never going to go away, Donald Trump. He's never going to go away. He's off Twitter. He's off Facebook, but he's never going to go away.
Well, he is going away. His blog, he shut it down. It only got like 15,000 hits a day or something. He needed the office in order for people to overlook how stupid and ridiculous he is.
Oh, like some radio hosts need a radio station in order to get followers?
Yeah, you know what I hate? When radio stations do that thing, like, I bet you can't name a boy's name that doesn't have the letter E.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These are. It's like it's like the quiz in Cosmo. You know, that's what it is.
Yeah, but then the worst part about it is that you look and it's got like 30,000 comments. It's like, you fucking idiots. Like,
that's why. Again, we wouldn't do it. We would not do it if it didn't work. If it did not get us traction, as they say, on Facebook.
It makes me mad because it's so cheap and low hanging fruit, and you're virtually guaranteeing that your audience has like sloped brows. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to the statues thing, you know, I like having maybe some sort of a disclaimer there. I think that, you know, keeping the statue and having a plaque is maybe a way to sort of do it right. Maybe as a way
or take away the statue and make the plaque and the bust of this person similar in size so they can't think that you're taking a side or whatever. I mean, like I don't know what they do in Russia about Stalin. I don't know what if there's a Stalin museum, but he killed more people than Hitler did. So, you know, like every nation has their issues like that. It's just that we always try to paste a, you know, present day standard to past centuries and past decades. And it's just, it never works. Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, go back and look at like comedy from the 70s or the 80s, or like George Carlin. You know, if you listen to some of his old albums, you're like, these jokes wouldn't fly today.
He uses the N-word back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He talks about kids, like little kids riding down a banister and getting off on it. Like,
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. He'd probably be under investigation if you put that.
Well, he'd be part of a cabal at that point.
Yeah. Or he'd work at Fox News.
Yeah. Well. Oh yeah. Definitely. Yeah. You know, you mentioned Bill Maher, and that was one of the great. And I would love to play the clip because, but I can't because of HBO copyright reasons. But a couple of weeks back, he had a whole thing about how, hey, being sex maniacs was our things as the left wing. You know, some reason the crazy conservatives like that guy, who is it, Gates, Matt Gates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jerry Falwell's kid too.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all these weird sexual guys that caught up in these sexual sort of mishaps. And it's like, hey, that used to be our thing on the left. Free love and crazy parties and hotel sex parties and secret rooms in the White House to get laid, you know, and under the desk cigar sessions. You know, that used to be the thing that the left wing did. And now the left wing is the fun police.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think both sides always did it, though, because, you know, all the scandals from the 90s and the early 2000s, don't you remember all those, like, vehemently anti-gay, you know, Republican senators and Congress people that then would get caught, like, on a meth binge with 2 male prostitutes and stuff like that. And it was always, like, the most ardently anti-gay senator, and and then
Yeah.
they have log cabin Republicans. There's a lot of gay politicians in the Republican Party,
What's
but
a log cabin Republican? Do I
a
want to
log,
know?
it's a gay Republican.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's what they call them, a log cabin?
Yeah, they're all about, how they're all about military prestige. I guess log cabin Republican is like the most virile gay label you could give to a Republican.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. It's like they're not even in the closet. They're way off in the woods in a log cabin. Like they've removed themselves.
Yeah, don't come out. We'll tell you when it's time to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll send a hawk for you with a message to your remote cabin your log cabin in the woods.
It is kind of a funny name. It evokes an image of something. I'm not really sure what it is.
Yeah, it's got a Brokeback Mountain feel, that's for sure.
Yeah, but it's romantic and not sleazy. That's what it feels like.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's actually classy as far as Republican.
Yeah, there's a fire there, maybe a snifter of something. It'd be good.
Mm-hmm. Do you think? Here's a question for you, James. Do you think that we just came out of our stay-at-home order here in Ontario yesterday, and do you think that some of these governmental lockdowns and rules that we've been facing have actually been detrimental to our general population's belief and trust in the government? Like, we lifted the stay-at-home order, but has anyone actually been staying at home except for doctor's appointments and groceries? I don't think they have. I think people have tuned out the government. Like, they say like players have tuned out the coach, the coach that lost the room. I feel like they've lost the room, and the average person may not be anti-lockdown or an anti-masker or going out to the protest, but they certainly aren't compliant citizens. I mean, what's this apathy to government? What's this going to pose for us in the future, post-pandemic? I think this is going to have problems.
Yeah, I mean, with every COVID question, the real answer is I don't know.
Yeah.
Facts change, numbers change. The context of the facts that changed already changed again. Like, it's always something, right? So what I think they're going to find out, you could pick your poison. One of them, I think, and libertarians would hate to hear me say this, was that our first lockdown in what was that, March?
Yeah, April.
March 2020 to April. When you hear the phrase lockdown, you think, oh, everyone's locked down. But then the laundry list of exceptions and essential workers and everyone else and people that are just disobeying the rules and this and that. I don't think we've ever had a lockdown. Really.
We never actually did. Yeah.
No. We've had a slowdown.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've ever had a lockdown. And so the way that and plus, I don't know about you, but most of my friends, there's no fear of this pandemic. It's not like leprosy or something where you're really afraid to get it because you don't think that like it would be bad news if you got it. I don't know anybody that's been like, man, I'm really scared to get COVID. Like, no one I know is feeling that way. It's more of an annoyance, I think.
Yeah, for me, it's my folks that are. I know people who are afraid of it. I do.
They're always over 70, though, right?
Well, yeah, for the most part. But I do know a couple of people in their late 30s, that have said, I feel like I'm at risk, or I've got, X, Y, Z, or I've been sickly my whole life, whatever reasons, right?
Vegans, right?
Yeah, I don't get enough iron.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing. The thing is that but it was smart to be afraid if you're in your 30s because they're looking ahead and they don't want to send it to their senior citizen parents and stuff, right? So it does make sense for people to be resilient and all that kind of stuff and careful and clean and everything. So I'm not even knocking that, but I don't think it's an answerable question. I don't think you can predict whether or not you can't even say if we're making the right decisions last week. Did that have a good result? Well, so far, but the bottom, as we know, could just fall out at any moment.
Yeah. Well, I even said on the air today, I was like, oh, hey, so kids aren't going back to school. And I'm out of things to say. Like you say, hey, when it comes to the pandemic, fuck if I know. And I basically said that on the air today on my morning show. I just said, yeah, well, kids are going to be off for the next 3 weeks. They're not going back till the fall. Some people like it. Some people hate it. Here's Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. Oh my God, objective journalism just on the lead-in to Led Zeppelin. That's amazing. No, but the funny thing is that you can't. I thought it was stupid that they were even considering it. Every kid has had a different sort of experience. Some kids were in online learning. Some kids have been in school since the beginning. Then there was, when no one was in school, and then there's homeschoolers, and there's all these different types of kids now.
Yeah.
But my wife and I were like, well, our kids haven't even really been to school at all this year, really. So why would we send them back for 2 weeks? And then that's about how long it takes to adjust to school. And then we're like, that's enough of that.
Well, and do they actually learn much at school because of all the protocols? And like, okay, we got to line up 6 feet and make sure everybody's compliant and everybody's got, okay, everybody put your masks on. And like, I'm sure it takes even longer, like for kids, just under normal circumstances, to get their lunchbox and their coat and go pee, it could take forever. Now you throw masks and lining up and 6 feet and, that's a lot of that you're not going to learn much in a day.
Well, they did it last year, and I don't know how well or how bad it went. Because we yanked our kid as soon as we were like, okay, well, COVID's here. I don't know how many roulettes is fine for Russian roulette with my kid, but
yeah,
it's more than 6. I still did it.
Right.
But and here we are now. What are we? 62% vaccinated.
Yeah, and they say around 70 is herd immunity. So, I mean, I'm hopeful that we're going to get there sooner than later. I'm hoping that, I got my second shot in August. Have you got your first?
I got my first. I think my second shot was originally supposed to be in August as well. I don't know. I got AstraZeneca. I hope that they sort out all that bullshit because I don't want to mix vaccines. See, I'm hesitant.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to mix either.
I'm vaccine hesitant when it comes to mixing.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing, though.
Well, and I know somebody who, my buddy Joe, he's been on the pod. He said this on this podcast a few episodes back. He said, I actually want the AstraZeneca over the others because it's the old school vaccine. It's the vector vaccine. And the Pfizer and the Moderna is the more modern mRNA vaccine that's brand new. It's never been given out to a general population before. So he wanted the old school where they take a little piece of the virus and they put it into you and you fight it off, rather than the new version, which I can't even explain. It's so complicated. But
you mean the one that invades your DNA?
That's one that changes your DNA, puts a tracking device in you, and Bill Gates is watching you like Sliver with a big thing of TV screens. Yeah.
We all become Mystique from X. Right?
Yeah, we got blue skin.
Keep up with me. Evolution. What? Woke.
But yeah, he preferred the AstraZeneca, and I understand why. And yeah, I wouldn't want to mix either. So I hope that you can get your second shot as an Astra. I think they're going to allow that. I think the government said that. I don't know, but it changed as of today. But
Well, I love how the expiry date for the vaccines was like definitively on such and such a date. I think it was May 30th or something. And they're like, July 1st now.
Yes. Hang on a second. Yeah, they said, it was. They've extended the expiration date. I'm like, can you do that?
Which is probably risky. I mean, unless they have some, fine print clause that absolves them from responsibility if an expired vaccine causes a blood clot. But if you can imagine an expired vaccine causing a blood clot, I think that'd be a crazy ass story, right? So
yeah.
I don't know. It seems really risky. I don't know who has to give the green light on that. If it's just AstraZeneca or if it's our government, I'm sure it's both. I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that our governments are not good at talking to us about is like the behind the scenes vaccine thing. Like why did Trudeau only go with the big giant Chinese deal and hold everyone off, and then that one collapsed, and then these ones collapsed because he held them off. All that kind of stuff. The distribution incompetence.
Yeah, well, I've made the case previously that, we should have had the Canadian Forces roll out the vaccine. I mean, the vaccine is being acquired on a federal level, and you could critique, like you say, how the vaccine was acquired. There's lots to critique on that, of course. But I'm not afraid to, because like you, I'm an aggressive centrist. I like the Liberal Party. I generally lean liberal, but it doesn't mean I can't critique them for things. And that's definitely one of them. They screwed up. They screwed up the acquisition of the vaccine. But then secondly,
well, first of all, they tried to make a deal with China in a moment in history where we've never had higher tensions.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hey, let's go to China for the deal. Like I am positive, and I have no evidence, but I am positive that China was like, let's just fuck the deal up with Canada to let them know, so that they can still go fuck themselves, and we're going to kill the Michaels if they don't let our bitch go from the Vancouver prison.
Oh, for sure. They wasted our time intentionally. I would totally get behind you on that one too. Mm-hmm. And anyways, I feel like the Canadian Forces, because they operate on a federal level, it could have been federal to federal rather than provincial and then local jurisdictions. And like, it's been a gong show. Like, I live in York region, but of course I work in Simcoe, and it's like even just the differences between Newmarket and Barrie, Ontario was massive in terms of where you can get the vaccine and how you can get it and the qualifications. I got to get it in York region because I'm overweight. I got the Pfizer vaccine. I got the fat clause. I got the fat clause for it.
Nice.
But the fat clause only kicked in 2 weeks later in Simcoe, which is like 25 minutes, like the border's like 25 minutes away. Yeah. So it's like, I don't get why that happened. I think if you just had the Canadian Forces roll up out of every town in Canada, set up a big giant tent, or go to the community center, the local curling rink, whatever, and just keep it on the federal level. Don't let the province and then the local, the cities and the local health units get involved. It just got all convoluted.
It would have been a really hard sell politically, I think. Not to me. I when I see military on the street helping society take care of something,
that's what they're there for. That's what we pay our taxes for.
I know, but it like speaks immediately to the depraved souls of those that think everything's a conspiracy, right? Like, oh my God, the New World Order's here, everybody.
Oh yeah, fuck, that's right. I always forget.
But they're distributing the vaccines. Yeah, the Bill Gates vaccine, everybody. Like, and you can't win, right? There's no winning that. Yeah. So what do we do? We keep on.
Yeah.
We keep on trying to get vaccinated.
We keep trying to get it. Anyways, August, I think 16th, whatever. I got the little slip in my wallet, man. Here we go. Labor Day weekend. I'm hosting a fucking barbecue. I'm telling you that now. I'm having a back deck fucking barbecue on Labor Day weekend. My wife and I will both be. My whole family, my whole circle of friends will all be vaccinated by the end of August. I cannot wait.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
cannot wait for that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too, man. I haven't seen my mom in I don't know, whatever. Christmas 2019, whatever that is.
Yeah, same. I've seen my mom on her front step. That's about it. In the time we told my parents that we were having a baby at Thanksgiving on their front step at like 20 feet away, they didn't.
Yeah, I know.
And the baby is here now, and they, you know what I mean? Like, and my mom still hasn't seen, they want to see their grandchild. Sucks.
Yeah. I know. That's the toughest part about everything.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there are a ton of other more heartbreaking stories than ours. Don't get me wrong.
COVID is the big one. I joked to someone, I don't know who it was today. Maybe it was Dean before we went on air, that COVID is like turning everybody into British people because we're not seeing our friends and family, and we kind of don't care.
Yeah, we've all developed a stiff upper lip. I'm just nothing a cup of tea can't fix.
That's right. Pinkies up, everybody.
Hello. Man, I got a whole bunch of other things I got to chat about with you here, James. But you mentioned China. You mentioned China too, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but you know that they're investigating now. Now it's Facebook has unblocked the theory or people publishing stories about how
I can't believe they did that.
Perhaps that the COVID was made in a lab. Like, that's no longer fake news. Facebook is allowing it to be out there now.
Allowing it. Imagine that.
Isn't that freaky? Yeah. Speaking of the New World Order, passports, please.
Yeah. And how many of us, and it was, the number was large, it wasn't a small number, reported on the lab theory like over a year ago.
Yeah.
But because we were getting information from Chinese scientists and from reputable journalists in Hong Kong, and there were defectors and everything.
Yeah.
And they were, and you didn't even have to know that. It's like, it's just one of those, like, the most logical solution has to be the correct one. You're saying that it came from this place, and you actually do experiments on that exact virus 300 yards away from where that wet market
like
is.
2 blocks from the market that they say it had the thing that came out in the wet market. Yeah, 2 blocks.
So reasonable people at the beginning wouldn't infer either way, but they'd be like, okay, we have 2 working theories. Wet market one seems a little far-fetched, but let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
The lab theory, it seems not just possible, but plausible, probable. I don't know. Like, it just, the gain of function research that evolves these viruses so that they can figure out how to, like, get ahead of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like, and viruses have escaped from that exact lab before. So
Well, and yeah, and they're investigating that it's a leak. That's the U.S. government now is saying, and that's why Facebook has lifted the ban on talking about it.
that's what we said last year. I had General Robert Spalding on the show last year, and he said we don't even care if it's a leak or a deliberate world sabotage because we have no way of proving anything. China,
right?
Who knows when they're telling.
China would be the hardest country to get intel to actually prove it that it actually happened. That's the other thing. You can suspect all you want. Here's another. Okay, I'm going to take this down a conspiracy road even further. I said this last March when it started. Do you remember the world events leading up to COVID? Because I do. Kobe died. Australia was on fire. But also, Hong Kong had riots.
That's right.
From December all the way until March. Those riots went away pretty quickly, didn't they? Because of COVID.
Just because two dots exist doesn't mean there's a line between them.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it doesn't.
But I wouldn't put past anything. I wouldn't put anything past China. But at the same time, I have no fucking idea, right?
No,
maybe.
I wanted to put that out there, and maybe Facebook will shut down the live stream. It wouldn't be the first time that's happened to me.
Really?
Yeah. Well, that was because of nudity. They had the right to do that when that I was asking for it. But
who was nude? You were nude?
No, it was Melanie Martin. This is way back, like episode 5. They yanked the live stream because she was talking about all the unwanted dick pics that she gets in her inbox, in her DMs. And I said, you know what? Well, let's shame one of these dudes. No message, nothing. Just here's a big dick in your inbox. And she took it on her phone and flashed it up at the camera. And within 5 seconds, the stream got pulled. The dick robots found it and just shut it down.
What the fuck? Like, from who? Your carrier? Who does
Facebook.
that?
No, Facebook shut it down. So I got a notification. Man, my Facebook page has been crushed. Crushed ever since. Like my circulation has been so limited. So to anyone who follows me on Facebook, if you see me post something, please like it. Just generally like it because it will help me get back in the game because they put an anvil on top of me.
I have advice for you. So this happens often when you post audio or video of your podcast, right? Like you don't get as much interaction because they changed.
Also just general posts, memes, pictures, any post that I make is significantly reduced in terms of its viewability.
Okay, because I don't know about that specific thing, but I do know that if I post a YouTube video straight up with just like a sentence before it, nobody will look at it.
Yeah.
Like so I posted my Noam Chomsky interview, the video straight onto my newsfeed, and I got like 2 likes. So the next day or maybe later that day, I posted a photo of me and Noam Chomsky, and then I talked about it in that original post, and then I put link to full video in the comments, and that got like 100.
Interesting. Okay.
So I don't think Facebook allows Google via YouTube to get its tentacles into.
So the YouTube is the workaround then.
Yeah, I think so, because I think Facebook wants people to use their player, right?
Yeah, which I am. I'm on YouTube and Facebook, but I want them both to be successful. You want to have as many.
Just get along. Stop doing this to us. This
I
is
know.
Remember
VHS
Flash
is beta.
wars between Microsoft and Apple.
Yeah, yeah, I know. VHS beta. There's always these friggin' debates. You mentioned the Chomsky thing. I haven't checked it out, man. I feel so bad, but Blackballed is the name of the podcast as well, and your first guest is Noam Chomsky. How the fuck did you get that interview?
I just emailed him before the election last year, and I asked him a question that I thought was interesting enough, maybe him to answer. I wasn't sure, but I heard he's pretty good at answering people. And I just asked him if it felt weird, sort of advising that citizens vote for an establishment candidate like Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And then we sent a couple emails back and forth over the next couple months, and then I just said, hey, listen, my strategy was simple: ask for something that's like 3 or 4 months away, so that he has a better chance of saying yes. That was my big strategy.
That's cool. So you like, it's kind of like when there's a girl you really like, you have a first meeting, a meet cute, and then over the course of a few months, you drop a few notes or a few run-ins here and there, and you sort of like plant the seed, then you water the plant, and then you fuck the plant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially the last one. Yeah. For
sure. That's awesome. I will check that out. I'm sorry, man. It's just the baby chaos.
Don't ever apologize.
Chaos.
Of not watching an hour and a half of droned on while entertaining. political activism rhetoric from an ancient gnome named Gnome. No, it was great. You know what? The whole thing behind the interview was that I was going to let Gnome talk. I'm not going to try to match political acumen with him.
Yeah.
And it was probably the right call. I don't believe in everything that he believes in, but like I have a hard time coming up with better arguments than he does, even for things that I believe that are different. So, and I like that in people. There's conservatives like that too. George Will is like that. I just like intellects that. And a lot of interviewers, especially American ones, they get caught up in this thing where they want to be on the same level as the person that they're interviewing. And it just collapses. Like it just, it's annoying. It's distracting. Just let the person talk. We're here for them, not you.
We're almost at our time there, James, but I do want to I want to play this rap of yours that you sent me at 4 or 5 in the morning.
When white guys say rap, it sounds so
I know. We're this hip hop mix. What's the proper nomenclature for this? Song? Oh, this song. Okay. This endeavor. I'm gonna play that in just a few seconds. Lastly,
I bought the beat, so at least I'm not.
You paid for it?
Yeah, this outfit called Antidote. They're really good.
Cool. Well, that's funny. You asked me off the top, like, where did you get this beat or the intro music? And I said, yeah, it's some approved YouTube thing that I paid like $90 US for it. So.
Yeah.
Some service out there. But before we play this rap, I just want to quickly make, and I know that you may not be as up to date on what's going on in Belarus right now, but this is, again, back to my prejudice on Russia and Russians in terms of, and maybe it's because my landlords are Russians and they're kicking us out. I don't know why. But I feel like Russian psyops and the Russian state is really, really on fire these days, and nobody's really paying attention to what they're doing as an actor out there politically and militarily. I pose that Putin's plan is to reunite the Soviet Union. I feel that way.
Yeah, you're not alone. I mean, Julia Eihoff, the American journalist, said the exact same thing that you just said in a Frontline documentary about the Putin regime. All this stuff about hacking and spying and disinformation, like, do we forget that every country does that?
I guess. But I view them as being good at it, but maybe are they sloppy at it because we can tell? I don't know.
I think that you would find out that the Americans, the apparatus that does that kind of work is probably 50 times larger than Russia.
Really?
Yeah, because they're not. It's just but you never hear about any of that, and you haven't. When was the last time you heard really detailed stories about American spies and what they do to other countries? It never happens.
That's true, because they're too good at it, maybe.
And they're hypocrites. They can just go into Pakistan and steal Osama's body, allegedly, and take it away.
Allegedly. Man, Zero Dark 30 was a great movie, James. It was a great movie.
The dumping the body at
written by the CIA.
The dumping the body at sea thing will go down as one of the craziest endings to a story that you never believe.
That is kind of strange, right? The dumping at sea thing. I will concede that. Influencers say they got offered thousands of dollars to spread fake news on the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. So this is influencers in France, on Instagram, on Twitter, and so on and so forth. Were contacted by a mysterious ad agency offering to pay them if they agreed to smear the Pfizer vaccine with negative fake stories and also promote the AstraZeneca vaccine on top of that. And for me, it comes off as, it's somebody, trying to give AstraZeneca the lift. But to me, it reads as Russia. That's what I see. They just want chaos. The same way that they put as much money into Bernie Sanders as they did into Hillary Clinton, promoting both of them, just to create chaos. As much as they did put into Trump, they put into Hillary as well in that election. And it's not a takedown on Pfizer. It's a takedown on vaccines and just creating distrust overall.
Well, I think that the loser out of all those vaccine companies is still AstraZeneca, right? They were banned how many countries?
Yeah, there is that. But
so it sounds like if they were employing some nefarious strategy to deflate the stock of Pfizer and Moderna or whatever, it looked like it didn't work. It was sloppy. They got millions of doses canceled. So I don't know. I don't know who would be responsible for something like that. It's an interesting theory.
The ad agency letter apparently, or email, kind of read like it had some broken English. It kind of read like a Nigerian prince email. So
well, that would be the great art of distraction, wouldn't it?
Yeah, wouldn't it be? Yeah. Again, there's weird stuff that's going on. I read Russia. I don't know why. Maybe it's my prejudice going back to that. But then also Belarus, I think that they're just basically a Russian state right now. The more things, I mean, obviously Ukraine is fighting their own battle. I mean, there's a whole part of Ukraine that's now part of Russia. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. And Putin is ex-KGB, so he's still in his mind is living in the Soviet Union.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's his fantasy, right? So I'll just run down the quick headlines with Belarus. 2 days ago, Belarus has banned most citizens from traveling abroad. Papers, please. You think we're living in lockdown? That's lockdown.
Yeah. I know.
There was a political opposition leader, Roman Protasevich. He was to the government of Belarus, an opposition leader. He was on a Ryanair flight. The government scrambled fighter jets, escorted the plane down, and arrested the guy.
Yeah.
That's Soviet Union right there. They claimed it was a bomb threat. Uh-huh.
The states did that too. They grounded the Ecuadorian flight because they thought Edward Snowden was on it. Right?
Ooh, yeah. Forgot about that. Yeah. See,
so there's a lot, and they're the
it's
ones
not
that,
just these other countries.
Yeah, and they're the ones that took away his passport when he was in the Russian airport, and then spread a fake story that he was trying to defect to Russia. But they're the one that trapped him there. He was in the connecting flight. He was going to go to Ecuador.
Yeah.
So there's lots of spin to go around. I don't know.
Okay. Here's another Belarus story. There's another activist, not the political opposition leader, but an activist in Belarus, who stabbed himself in the neck in court, in front of the court, after repeatedly being told that his family and neighbors faced prosecution if he did not plead guilty to his crimes, which he did not feel were legitimate.
Did he plead guilty, or was that what he was trying to emphasize his guilt?
He was.
I am bad. Like.
No, I don't think so. No, I think he was. Someone lit themselves on fire one time in protest. More than one person. That's the thing. People light themselves on fire. People do all sorts of crazy things in protest.
Yeah, that was the Tibet protest, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe it was.
Monk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's ballsy, I guess you could say. Like, it's, I don't know how much good setting yourself on fire is going to do with the issue that you're trying to support, but like, have at it, kids.
All right. Well, James is all in favor of flaming bodies and neck stabbing. That's good.
Listen, we need to clear some space for our healthcare system. We're pretty bogged up right now.
That's true. This third wave has been punishing. All right, we're going to wrap it up now with, it's called, the MP3 I have in my inbox, James, is Get Beats.
Yeah, that's right.
And
double entendre.
Is that the name of the song?
Instrumental, or you can get beats. Yeah.
Sent to me at 4:23 a.m.
Oh, and tell your audience, you have to be fair here because we're living in a pandemic.
Yeah.
The song was recorded with like desktop speakers and a cell phone.
It's still pretty damn good considering the production value. 4:23 a.m. on April 17th. My daughter was 2 days old, and I'm up feeding her, rocking her. She's crying, and my Twitter DMs are blowing up with James high on mushrooms, being like, "Let's do a podcast." And guess what, man? I actually considered it for a second.
Yeah.
My wife was asleep, and the baby was just starting to calm down. Just burped her a little bit. She was feeling a bit better. I'm like, you know what? I might be able to get away with it. I didn't.
She's like, "What are you doing? He's never coming over. Jesus Christ, it's 4 a.m. Tell her I'm sorry.
It's okay. All right, here it is. Get Beats, James DiFiore.
I'm in session, and punks like you don't even have to question, man. The funky remedy will make a whole new mess. My eardrums, they're imploding because I am unloading. Attract them, act the fact intact. Hey, jack the mic exploding. Wicked wizards, weapons wanted. Freaking flow and flaunted. You want a battle, but you rattle cause the mic is haunted. A happy whole Hummer, slicker in the summer. I drive a 98, so sail with the funky drummer. My music's rougher than a fat hooker sitting on your face. I blast funk like Pookie blast spree bass. And can you understand the ways I wreck it? Man, I'm high like Peter Pan, but I will never double deck it. So just check it. I infect it as I catch it like a tuna. True to my crew. too. Plus I'm fat like Yokozuna. My exciting, never-biting ways of writing won't give you time to blink. So just think I'm on the brink, just like the missing link. You're wearing pink, I'm in sync. Bitch, get off the stage, I'm enraged. It's new age, the mic is like a 12 gauge. I'll make you spin like you had one too many gin and tonics. Dropping science, math, history, and economics. And I'm the kid that every rookie's mom wants to handle. And like a vandal, I'll bust shit and step like a sandal. Now the mic is handed over like your little sister. I'm sinister, you're blistered. I twist like twisters, mister. I'm crisp, don't try to call me flaky money. Your nose is running like the sun, I'm sunny, nothing funny. And I'm a straight shooting hard fucking Mac punk. Slam you like a Shaq dunk, slick enough to pack funk. And next time you try to step and interfere, I will string your ass up and hang you like a chandelier.
Wow. James, sorry, I'm sitting here eating nuts, listening. I'm just sitting back. I'm like, now's an almond break.
I wrote that all those lyrics in 1996.
Oh, really? I thought you wrote those that
Look
night.
No,
I thought you were like,
yeah,
I just wrote this 5 minutes ago.
I rhymed it that day, but because I've been working on my flow for like the last year and a half. Like I really have I'm like in rapper Olympian mode because every day for like an hour I do this shit. But yeah, no, I wrote it in 1996, all 4 verses. Like this is like the crate. I blew dust off the crate and I put a 2021 flow to it, and that's
it's great, man. I enjoy your raps. I enjoy your writing. That writer and rapper that I like. I'll get my wife to refer to you as that now.
The time has come for ex-Torontonians who are 45 and white and now live in the sticks to become world-renowned rappers. The time is finally ours.
Yeah, and it's almost like, you used to leave the city and move out to a country home, out to a log cabin, if you will, to be a writer. Yes, I'll finally get time to work on my book. Now it's like, I'm moving out of the city in my log cabin in the country so I can write raps.
Yeah, right. No, but I do. I can't help it. It's a hobby. It will never go away. I can't wait for senior citizen homes in like 2035 or 2040.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be like Eric B and Rakim and like Public Enemy and like
oh man, and the tattoos as well. That's the other thing too. How many people, millennials even, are inked up now with all sorts of tattoos? I mean, those are going to be some pretty funky old folks' homes.
You don't turn 80 and just start listening to Pat Boone. You listen to Public Enemy if that's what you listen to, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're gonna be in the old folks' home, just rocking out to Cypress Hill and Public Enemy and
fucking Kruder and Dorfmeister, all the electronic music that's gonna be in those fucking places.
Yeah, we're gonna have a friggin' old folks rave. It'd be like, they used to have bingo nights and horseshoes night. We're gonna have fucking rave nights. Like, all right.
They even let them do MDMA probably by then because it'll be seen as a therapy and not a chemical.
Dude, I mean, hey, California just legalized psychedelics. We're headed there, man. We're headed there.
I will still be illegal until we legalize it here, but I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I know. It's nice. It's progress. I mean, it's going way faster than it took to legalize weed. I can tell you that. Yeah. Big sigh. Yeah. All right, we'll wrap on that side. James DiFiore, the writer and the rapper, and I love following you on Twitter, James DiFiore, and also blackballmedia.ca. Check out that article that we mentioned off the top as well.
And thanks for having me, Chris. I always love coming here, man.
Dude, I love our chats as always. We'll do it again.
All right, man.
Thanks again.